she said. This trip made me realize I don't want you anymore. No emotion. No hesitation. I didn't argue. All right. I didn't disappear. I stayed exactly where I was. 2 nights later, she realized the one thing she needed next was something only I could approve. I'm 42, been with my partner for 11 years. We never married. Her choice, not mine. She wanted to keep things fluid and independent. I went along with it because I loved her and figured the paper didn't matter as much as what we built together. We owned a house. Well, technically I owned the house. Bought it 8 years ago, before she moved in. My name on the deed, my down payment, my credit on the mortgage. She contributed to bills and groceries, but the house was always mine. She knew this. We discussed it multiple times over the years, especially when friends got married or bought property together. She'd always said she preferred the arrangement because it meant less entanglement if things ever went south. The trip happened 3 weeks ago. She went on a yoga retreat, 10 days in another state with a group of women she'd met through her studio. I didn't think much of it. She'd been talking about needing space to reconnect with herself for months. Work had been stressful for both of us. I run a small consulting firm. She manages a wellness center. We'd been ships passing in the night. She came back on a Tuesday evening. I picked her up from the airport. She was quiet in the car, staring out the window. I asked how the retreat was. She said it was transformative. I asked what that meant. She didn't elaborate. We got home around 8. I'd made dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad. She barely touched it. Kept checking her phone. I asked if something was wrong. I need to talk to you about something. I put down my fork. Okay. This trip made me realize I don't want you anymore. Just like that. No preamble. No softening. She said it the way you'd comment on the weather. I sat there for a moment. All right. That's it. Just all right. What do you want me to say? You've made a decision. I'm not going to beg. I thought you'd be more upset. I am upset. I'm just not going to perform it for you. She looked almost disappointed. Like she'd wanted drama. Wanted me to break down or get angry or give her ammunition for whatever story she was already telling herself. I'll start looking for a place, she said. I need a few weeks to figure things out. Take your time. I'm not kicking you out tomorrow. You're being very calm about this. What's the alternative? Screaming? Throwing things? We're adults. This is ending. Let's handle it like adults. She went upstairs. I heard her on the phone a few minutes later, voice low and animated. I cleaned up dinner, loaded the dishwasher, went to my office. Sent some emails. Tried to focus on work. Couldn't. Around midnight, I went upstairs. She was in the guest room. Door closed. I went to our bedroom, my bedroom now, I guess, and lay there staring at the ceiling until I finally fell asleep around 3. Update 1. The next morning, she was already up when I came downstairs. Had her laptop open at the kitchen table, looking at apartment listings. Morning, I said. Morning. I made coffee. Poured 2 cups out of habit. Slid one across to her. She took it without looking up. I found a few places. Going to schedule some viewings this week. Okay. Most of them want first month, last month, and security deposit. It's going to be tight financially until my next paycheck. I didn't respond. Just drank my coffee. I might need to borrow some money. Just for the deposits. I'll pay you back. How much? Maybe $5,000. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You're breaking up with me and asking me for $5,000 in the same breath. It's a loan. I just said I'd pay you back. No. 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 Figure it out yourself. That's petty. That's reality. You don't want me anymore, remember? Part of not wanting me is not having access to my money. She slammed her laptop shut. I've contributed to this household for years. You've paid utilities and bought groceries. I've paid the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, all the major repairs. Don't act like we've been equal partners financially. I make less than you. I've done what I could. I'm not saying you didn't. I'm saying you don't get to leave me and expect me to fund your exit. She grabbed her coffee and went back upstairs. I heard the guest room door slam. That afternoon, I had a consultation call with a client. Afterward, I called my lawyer. Same guy who'd handled the house purchase and my business contracts. Explained the situation. You're smart that the house is in your name only, he said. Depending on the state, she might try to claim common law marriage or domestic partnership, but without documentation of shared financial investment, she doesn't have much ground to stand on. What should I do? Document everything. Her contributions, your contributions. Make sure you have records of the mortgage payments, repairs, all of it. If she tries to make this messy, you'll need proof. She's asking for money to move out. Don't give her anything without a written agreement. If you do, make sure it's documented as a loan with clear repayment terms. Better yet, don't give her anything at all. That's what I was thinking. Good. Keep me updated. I spent the rest of the day pulling financial records, bank statements, mortgage documents, receipts for major house repairs. Built a folder with everything documented, just in case. Update 2. 2 days after the breakup conversation, she'd scheduled 3 apartment viewings. I was in my office working when she knocked on the door. Can we talk? Sure. She came in, closed the door behind her, sat in the chair across from my desk. I've been thinking about the logistics. The apartments I'm looking at all require proof of income, references, credit checks. Standard stuff. Okay. The thing is, my credit isn't great. I had some issues a few years ago with a credit card. It's mostly resolved, but my score is still recovering. And most landlords want a cosigner if your credit is below a certain threshold. I saw where this was going. No, I haven't even asked yet. You're about to ask me to cosign on an apartment lease. The answer is no. I need help. I can't get approved without a cosigner. Find someone else. Family member. Friend. Not me. My parents are retired. They don't have the income to qualify. My friends either don't make enough or won't do it. Then find a different apartment. Find a roommate situation. Find something that doesn't require a cosigner. Those options are either unsafe or too far from my work. Not my problem. She stared at me. You're really going to make this difficult. I'm not making anything difficult. You decided to leave. You decided you don't want me anymore. Those were your words. You don't get to leave and expect me to remain responsible for your housing. I thought we could be adults about this. We are being adults. Adults understand that decisions have consequences. You're facing the consequences of your decision. This is revenge. This is self-preservation. Big difference. She left the office. I heard her making phone calls for the next hour. Desperate calls to friends, her parents, her sister. Each one ended with her sounding more frustrated. That evening, she came back to the office. I talked to my parents. They said they'd help with the deposit money, but they can't co-sign either. Their accountant advised against it for tax reasons. Okay. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? I already told you I'm not co-signing. I need to move out. I can't stay here indefinitely. I didn't say you could. I said take your time. That doesn't mean months. That means a reasonable amount of time to figure things out. How long is reasonable? End of the month. That's 3 weeks. 3 weeks. That's not enough time. It's plenty of time if you're actually looking at realistic options. What if I can't find a place by then? Then you'll need to figure out a backup plan. Hotel, friend's couch, storage unit for your stuff. Whatever it takes. You're being cruel. I'm being practical. You ended this relationship. You don't get to dictate how I handle my property afterward. Update 3. A week went by. She'd looked at probably 15 apartments. Every single one either required a cosigner, had income requirements she didn't meet alone, or was, in her words, completely unacceptable. She started spending more time out of the house, coming back late. I didn't ask where she'd been. One night, around 11, she came into my office. I was finishing up some work. She looked exhausted. I need to ask you something, and I need you to actually consider it. Go ahead. What if I stayed? Just for a few more months. Paid you rent. We'd be roommates, basically. It would give me time to improve my credit, save more money, find something actually decent. No. Why not? Because you don't want me anymore, remember? Those were your exact words. I'm not interested in living with someone who doesn't want me while they figure out their next move. It would be temporary. It would be torture. For both of us. You're not even willing to consider it. I've considered it. The answer is no. She started crying. Real tears, not manipulation. I don't know what to do. Every option is terrible. The places I can afford without a cosigner are dangerous or falling apart. The places that are safe require things I can't provide. I'm stuck. You should have thought about this before you ended things. I made a mistake. I looked up. What? I made a mistake. The retreat, the whole thing. I got caught up in this idea of freedom and independence and finding myself. I thought I wanted out. But now I'm realizing I can't even afford to leave. So you don't actually want me. You just need me. That's not fair. It's accurate. Can we try to work this out? Go to counseling or something? No. Why not? Because you didn't want counseling when you came back from your retreat. You wanted out. You said it with no hesitation, no emotion. You'd already made up your mind. This isn't about wanting to fix things. This is about realizing leaving is harder than you thought. People make mistakes. People say things they don't mean. You meant it. You meant every word. You're just realizing the consequences now. She left the office. I heard her in the guest room on the phone again. Louder this time. Arguing with someone. Couldn't make out all the words, but I caught impossible and controlling and trapped. Update 4. The deadline I'd given her, end of the month, was 2 days away. She still hadn't found a place. Her parents had offered to let her move back in with them temporarily, but they lived 4 hours away and she'd have to quit her job. She'd applied for personal loans to cover deposits without a cosigner. All denied. The night before the deadline, she knocked on my bedroom door. I was reading. She came in without waiting for an invitation. We need to talk about this. We've talked about it plenty. Tomorrow's the deadline. I have nowhere to go. That's unfortunate. You're really going to make me homeless? I'm not making you anything. I'm enforcing a reasonable boundary. You have options. Your parents' place. Friends. Extended stay hotels. You're choosing not to take them because they're inconvenient. They're not just inconvenient. They're life-altering. Moving back with my parents means starting over. Losing my job. Losing my independence. You wanted independence. You wanted to not be entangled with me. This is what that looks like. I was wrong. I told you I was wrong. You were wrong about being able to afford independence, not about wanting it. That's not true. It is true. You don't want me back. You want your comfortable life back. The one where you had a nice house, low expenses, and freedom to do whatever you wanted without actually being responsible for anything. That's a horrible thing to say. It's honest. Something you should try. She sat on the edge of the bed. What if I signed something? A lease agreement. Paid you actual rent. Market rate. We'd have a landlord-tenant relationship. Legal and official. No. Why not? You'd be getting income from a room that would otherwise sit empty. Because I don't want you here. You don't want me. I don't want to see you every day. I don't want to share space with someone who looked me in the eye and said they didn't want me anymore. It's that simple. You're punishing me. I'm protecting myself. She stood up. Fine. I'll figure something out. I'll take the apartment I looked at last week. The one in the sketchy neighborhood. The one with the broken locks and the mold problem. At least I'll be out of your hair. Don't try to guilt me. You have other options. You're refusing to take them. Moving 4 hours away isn't an option. It's a complete life reset. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you came back from your retreat and decided to blow up our life together. She left the room. Slammed the door. I heard her in the guest room packing. Drawers opening and closing. Zippers. The sound of someone frantically trying to salvage a situation they'd created. Final update. She moved out the next day. Took her parents up on their offer. Loaded her car with as much as she could fit. Arranged for a storage unit for the rest. I helped her carry boxes to her car. We didn't speak much. When she was ready to leave, she stood by her car. This isn't how I wanted this to go. How did you want it to go? I don't know. Just not like this. You wanted to leave without consequences. That's not how life works. I know that now. Do you? She got in her car. Drove away. I watched until she turned the corner, then went back inside. The house felt different. Quiet in a way it hadn't been before. I walked through the rooms, noticing the spaces where her things had been. The empty shelf in the bathroom. The gap in the closet. The missing photos from the hallway. A few weeks later, I got an email from her. She'd settled in at her parents' place. Found a remote position doing wellness coaching. Making it work. She said she understood now why I'd refused to help her. Said she needed to face the full weight of her decision. Said she hoped someday we could talk without anger. I didn't respond. A month after that, her sister reached out. Said my ex was struggling. Depressed. Regretful. Asked if I'd be willing to talk to her. I said no. Her sister called me heartless. I blocked her number. 2 months later, I started dating someone new. Someone I met through a friend. Someone who had her own house, her own career, her own stability. Someone who didn't need me to function, but chose to be with me anyway. My ex found out through mutual friends. Sent me a long text about how quickly I'd moved on, how callous I was, how she'd wasted 11 years on someone who could replace her so easily. I blocked her number too. The thing about that conversation, when she came back from her retreat and said she didn't want me anymore, is that she meant it in the moment. She'd convinced herself she wanted freedom, wanted independence, wanted to be unattached, but she'd never actually thought through what that meant. Never considered that she'd built her life on my foundation. Never realized that not wanting me meant not having access to everything that came with me. And when she figured it out, when she realized she'd made a catastrophic miscalculation, she expected me to save her. Expected me to co-sign her lease, loan her money, let her stay indefinitely. Expected me to absorb the consequences of her decision while she figured out her next move. I chose differently. I chose to let her face exactly what she'd asked for. Complete independence. Complete separation. No safety net. People called it cruel. Called it revenge. Called it heartless. I called it self-respect. She said she didn't want me. I believed her. And I let her discover what not having me actually meant. I'm 42 years old. I own my house. I have my career. I have my dignity. And I have someone new who sees my value and doesn't take it for granted. My ex has her independence, just like she wanted. Turns out it looks a lot lonelier than she imagined.